So, when you wear fragrance, you want to make a good impression. You don't want to make a bad impression. You don't want somebody to think, that guy, he had it all, but then he smelled like a butt crack. He almost pulled it off. Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about 10 different fragrances. They're going to leave a great first impression, or a great impression in general, to whoever you meet. Unless they're just a hater. Got a good mixture of stuff here. Designers, niche, it runs the whole gamut. Let's jump into it and check these out. We're gonna start things off with a little hype beast action here. Hacivat from Nishane. You know what the quickest path to hype beastdom is if you have a niche brand? Make something that smells like Creed's Aventus. Haha, just playing, except I'm not. Now, it's not a direct one-to-one clone of Aventus, of course. Like most inspired by fragrances, it's Aventus with a twist, kind of doing its own thing to an extent. You've got a good amount of woodiness in here, that oak moss as well, but not as much of the smoke that you're gonna find from the birch in Creed's Aventus. A little bit of smokiness in Hacivat, sure, but as much as Creed Aventus, nah. And I'm not at all bagging on Hacivat for smelling a little bit similar to Aventus, because this stuff kicks. It has great projection, great performance, longevity, versatility, complement factor, the whole shebang. There's a reason that Hacivat is one of, if not the most hyped fragrances from the house of Nishane. And that's because people friggin' love the way it smells. Now let's go into the realm of the designer. The first one we're gonna take a look at is Y Eau de Parfum from Yves Saint Laurent. This, of course, is the YSL fragrance that goes to battle, actually, against Dior Sauvage and Bleu de Chanel and all those other big-time heavy hitters. Apple, ginger, sage, amberwood, tonka, and citrus, some of the notes in the fragrance. It has a great versatility to it. Not a big surprise. Actually, a lot of these have a good amount of versatility. Not all of them, but most of them. It's a blue fragrance with a little bit of class to it as well. Good amount of sweetness, but not too sweet. It does have just an ever so slightly leaning tendency toward the bubblegum side of things in the opening, but not bad. Y Eau de Parfum, one of my favorite personal designer fragrances, to where nowadays if I just want a dumb reach, I don't want to think about what I'm wearing, I just want to grab it, spray it, and go, know that people are going to love it. Y Eau de Parfum, that's one of my go-tos, along with Y Le Parfum. Now we're going to class things up a little bit, just a little bit further, take it up a notch. Vetiver Parfum Cologne from Roja Parfum. Vetiver, cedar, bergamot, and florals, some of the notes in the fragrance. I'm a fan of Vetiver fragrances. I've said it a million times, I'll say it a million more, so it's not a big surprise that I love this one. And of course, with that green coloration on the bottle, it kind of lets you know that this is a vetiver that is more along that fresh, green, grassy side of things, as opposed to a very smoky or heavy or overly woodsy vetiver. Really a top-notch fragrance. It has that sparkle in the opening that you're gonna find from so many Roja Parfum fragrances, that citrusy, sweet, fresh opening. It's done to the nines right here. Because this is part of the Parfum Cologne collection, it's not quite as expensive as some of the other Roja Parfum fragrances. This one retails, I think, for $290 for a 100 ml size bottle. So, it's not cheap, but when you start looking at the other fragrances from the house, you go, oh, well, I guess it's all relative. It's cheap for a Roja Parfum. That one you can find at twistedlily.com, link in the description for that fragrance and all the others. If you ever shop at Twisted Lily, use the code GENTS10, save yourself 10% off. This next scent that I'm going to talk about, to an extent, is underrated. It's flown under the radar for a long time, and the whole lineage got killed off, man, and it's depressing. This one and all of its children, bleh. The fragrance is Gentleman Only from Givenchy. Now this one you can still find at discounters. A lot of the flankers that came after this though, yeah, you really can't. You can find them on eBay. That's about it. It's got pink pepper, vetiver, incense, and woods. It's a really easy to wear fragrance. It's got this fresh spiciness to it, of course. Like in the name, it's got a gentlemanly kind of vibe. It's got that little bit of sophistication to it. I've also got a little bit of mandarin in here, a little citrus off the top, which helps freshen up that opening. It's a great everyday kind of scent. Massive versatility, like I said. A lot of these do have that in common. A really nice office fragrance, potential compliment puller. Performance could be a little bit better maybe, but on the whole, great fragrance. It doesn't change the rules of the game. It doesn't set the world on fire with some crazy new scent profile you've never smelled that makes your brain explode inside your head. But when you smell it, you just think, man, that's nice. Now, I already mentioned why Eau de Parfum, and I mentioned Bleu de Chanel, and I mentioned Dior Sauvage when I brought that one up. Now I'm going to talk about one of those, Bleu de Chanel. This is the Parfum. Now, Dior Sauvage is much more brash, much more outgoing to an extent. You know, Dior Sauvage, especially the Eau de Toilette, that one just pumps out there, grabs people's attention for better or for worse. It's got that massive metallic ambroxan pepper lavender mixture with a bit of bergamot. It's Dior Sauvage, you know. It's gonna make sure that everyone around you knows about it. Bleu de Chanel, a little classier in the way that it approaches things. You know, it's a little more mature, a little bit smoother around the edges, not as loud. And the Parfum is the smoothest of the bunch. You know, you've got the EDT, the EDP,
and then the P.
And that P is a big one, a big P. It's expensive. Now, when I first smelled Bleu de Chanel Parfum, I wasn't completely sold on it. I was kind of wishy-washy on it because it's expensive. Like I said just now, the most expensive of the bunch. And of course, it's going to draw comparisons to the original and the Eau de Parfum. And then you think to yourself, well, you know, is it worth the extra price, or should you just get the Eau de Parfum, the Eau de Toilette, you know? So when I first smelled it, wasn't in love. As time has gone though, really do enjoy it. I like that slightly darker edge that it has, that little extra bit of richness and maturity. I think it smells really, really nice. Sandalwood, cedar, lavender, a little bit of lemon zest in there. Not as heavy on the citrus here as you're gonna find in the other fragrances. I would say the Eau de Parfum is a little more versatile, just because that Eau de Parfum, that's almost like the Goldilocks of the Bleu de Chanel's. You know, it does everything just right. Now we're gonna get a little alcohol in here, a little alcohol with that nice presentation. Looks fantastic, and it has that lid that also doubles as a turkey call. So that's a big positive. It's Angel Share from by Kilian. I love to do that with this bottle for whatever reason. You know, it's just this plastic cap. It's very noisy, but it does look beautiful. Presentation's super nice. It's got praline, cinnamon, cognac, vanilla, and tonka. Yeah, a lot of sweetness, a whole bunch. Boozy, sweet, spicy. That's what you're getting here. Very warm, really sexy smelling. Nice performance as well. It is, for me, still the standout of this new line. And it's kind of rough that by Kilian came out with this right off the top, because now every new fragrance that comes out in this line is gonna get compared back to this. And people are gonna say, is it better than Angel Share? Yes or no? Heck of a scent, fall and winter stunner. Now we've got a bestseller in our midst. One of the best-selling fragrance lines currently on the market, designer-wise, from Versace. It is Eros Parfum. Vanilla, citrus, lavender, and benzoin. Same idea here, generally with the Bleu de Chanel, which is you're getting the most refined, the richest, the deepest version of this fragrance currently on the market. Now, I don't really need to tell you that Eros is one of those hugely successful fragrance lines because of the reactions that it gets. Most people get that, they accept that. Eros, the Eau de Toilette, the original, that is just a fragrance that crushes so many of the variables that guys look for in fragrances. It's got performance, both in projection and longevity. It's got a big time compliment factor. It's an attention grabber. It's got that sweetness that lingers throughout the entirety of the fragrance that people just seem to be drawn to. The issue with the Eau de Toilette of Eros is sometimes that sweetness comes across just too heavy-handed and cloying to some people, especially guys that are a little bit older, and they kind of shy away from that scent profile, that DNA, because of that. And if that's an issue, go with the Parfum. Now, if you wanted to, just like with Bleu de Chanel, if you want to kind of split the difference, go with the Eau de Parfum. It's going to be a little bit more affordable, and it's not quite as, aggressively in your face as the Eau de Toilette is. Let's get a little Tom Ford action in here with Tuscan leather. You go back and smell it, it's just like nostalgia smacking you in the face. At least if you were into this when it first really broke hard. You go back and smell it again, it's like, oh, yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with the private blend fragrances now, because there's not, but man, there was a time there where every private blend fragrance that was coming out, almost, it felt like, I gotta get that, because that's gonna be something totally different, totally new. Or if not, then it was gonna be something that was taken just to the next level where it felt new. Tuscan leather is one of those fragrances for me. Because when this came out and I smelled it for the first time, it was just like that raspberry saffron, that sweetness, that little bit of tartness, that spice melding together with this powerful leather that just lasted forever, made this a must own. I think it still is. Of course, Tuscan leather's been knocked off a whole bunch of times since it came out, and ombre leather now, also from Tom Ford, some people would pick over Tuscan leather, but I think Tuscan leather still is one of those fragrances that absolutely commands attention. Next, we have a little code, a little Armani Code Eau de Parfum. Now, yes, me personally, my favorite, Code Absolu, until further notice. Code Profumo, also a really strong contender, great release, and even Code Absolute Gold, very good. Code Eau de Parfum I don't talk about quite as much. But one thing that Code Eau de Parfum has going for it that maybe Code Profumo, Code Absolu don't have going for them quite as much is the sweetness. Now you may say, wait, what are you saying? You're saying Code Eau de Parfum is sweeter than Profumo or Absolu? No, it's a little bit less. Now, it is not devoid of sweetness, to be completely straightforward with you there. It's got tonka, it's got vanilla prominently, but it doesn't have that big blast of sweet spices that you're gonna get in the opening of Profumo especially, but also in Absolu. This one carries along closer to the original Code Eau de Toilette, which of course was a massive hit and still is a massive hit. Eau de Parfum is much more in line with the original Code, whereas Absolu and Profumo, those are a little bit more in line with Code Ultimate, which was a flanker from back in the day. It might be ever so slightly more grown up than the original Code, but it absolutely kills it in positive attention, which is really, at the end of the day, what this list is about. And we're gonna finish everything up with the most wanted. Cardamom toffee, a little vanilla vetiver action going on in here as well. Very sweet. It's very much in line with where fragrance houses seem to have been going over the past couple of years. We've seen a lot of releases come out with toffee, with caramel, with chestnut, with hazelnut, going into this warm, gourmandy, spicy side of things. That's where this goes. It's interesting. It's almost like the new blue fragrance, For a while, everyone had to have an oud fragrance. So every designer house had to come out with their own version of an oud scent. And then everybody had to have their own blue fragrance. And now here lately, everybody's had to have their gourmand, nutty caramel scent. And this one is that for Azzaro. And it is absolutely mind-boggling how well that does as far as making a great impression on people, just having them go, holy crap, what are you wearing? Well, I'm wearing a revolver, bro. I'm not overcompensating. Sometimes you get taken aback. You're just like, oh, you like it that much? Okay, I guess I'll wear it more. All right, guys, there you go. 10 fragrances. I'm gonna leave you giving good impressions to people, lasting impressions that are positive instead of negative. Let me know some of the fragrances in the comments that you guys like to wear if you're trying to make a good first impression or really just trying to make impressions at all. Does that make sense? No. All right, guys, thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for your support. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.